telling the people they are working on the dollars, but yet they peg the importation rate at 1,440 naira. All of this will fall back on whatever you are buying, including petrol. So all their economic voodoo, abracadabra, they are doing behind, and then telling you to pray to God and wish Nigeria well, or pray for Nigeria. All this nonsense are never going to get you out of the wood. So they remove subsidy. They are not saving anything. They told you they did remove subsidy, but they are not. How much have they saved from it? They have not, because they haven't removed anything. And Shitty man coming back to now say, Shebi Atiku said he will remove it. Shebi Obino said he will remove it. Why are you all acting surprised now? It is diabolical, misleading, and evil. People will not care about statistics. Those who told you that Tinubu, a Deloitte trained accountant, the man, what do you call that thing again? Is it Poseidon? The Aquaman that defended the Lagos from Atlantic, the man that created the Lagos. Suddenly, Shitty man came out and said, nothing would have changed. A lot of you just don't want to give credit to Tinubu that he destroyed Nigeria. Because the idea of removing subsidy that you are witnessing in Nigeria today, they borrowed it or they stole it from Atiku and Obi. Now, just for the context, without sounding in their defense, because what they are practically saying is, no matter what anybody tried, you are destined to suffer what you are suffering now. And there are those of you that will believe that. And there are others who are asking, everything go do different. What would Obi do different? But let us just put them to context, please. Because at least you have seen what Tinubu can do. Now, turning around to say, the economy of Nigeria that is in the gutters now, even though Tinubu inherited a collapsed economy from Bokwari, which is also very evil and diabolical. These criminals praised Bokwari to the last day. Until now, they are still, they are still praising it. So turning around to now say, okay, it's a destroyed economy. What exactly then did Bokwari do? Do it that you can say was the reason why it had done that long. Now let's go check what Atiku said. Atiku said that Nigeria have spent so much money that if to say they succeeded, Atiku was in charge of selling Nigeria properties, assets under Obasanjo. And through that, a lot of his friends became very rich, billionaires. And that gave Atiku a lot of political leverage. For those who know his history, Atiku was the most powerful man in Nigeria between 1999 and 2004. 2004. Obasanjo was the president, of course, but it was pretty much believed that it was the late Yaradua, Shehu Yaradua, not Umaru Yaradua, his own brother. Shehu Yaradua, who was a soldier like Obasanjo. They said his structure then, what was that again? Northern something movement. Here you get. They said the remnant of that structure was kept together by Atiku that succeeded Shehu. And it was the structure they used in bringing Obasanjo to power in 1999. And by that, it was given a total free hand to the point that Obasanjo nearly lost PDM. You remember that thing? I can't remember the full name again. You shall get Shehu Yaradua. So Atiku was so powerful that Atiku influenced more than 70% of those who became ministers under Obasanjo. It was so powerful that the idea of the president will control the military, vice president will control the economy was their creation, Obasanjo and Atiku. So that gave Atiku so much political leverage that by the time Obasanjo would realize, I mean, Obasanjo was traveling all over the world that time, you know, John Keating, begging the world for debt forgiveness. Remember? So it was time for them to go for second term. That was when Obasanjo realized that out of maybe about 30 or 25 PDP governors, let's say 20 PDP governors, 18 of them were loyal to Atiku, his vice. Out of the National Assembly of 360 House of Rep members, it's like 70-80% of the House of Rep members were loyal to Atiku. Obasanjo needed a second term, and somehow he wasn't going to get it until Obasanjo had to prostrate for Atiku. That Atiku kind of then felt like, okay, they could give the green light that Obasanjo could get a second term. And that was the beginning of Atiku's political destruction in the Nigerian context, by the way. And since then, Atiku's dream of becoming president remained pipe-bomb dream that he continued to chase, even as he's closing to his 80th birthday. But he's still pretty much like Obasanjo. Atiku also have this mentality, the mentality of Nigeria is their baby, if you know his own history too. Obasanjo believes that Nigeria is his baby, and Nigeria must continue to exist, whether we like it or not, no matter what. Because if Nigeria should die, Obasanjo would die. It's the same with Atiku, with the mentality of this is our creation, this is our this. Majority of the ministries, agencies, parastatals that you are seeing today were created by Atiku. They were the ideas of Atiku. To shock you. When Obasanjo muted the idea of creating EFCC out of the police, he gave it to Atiku to assemble those they probably felt like could do the job. It was the same Atiku that recommended Ribadu to Obasanjo to become the first EFCC chairman. It was the same Atiku who recommended Rufai of Kaduna. That was how powerful he was. He sold so many of the government assets to himself and his friends. Not to himself, but to his friends. So that's Atiku's legacy. Okay? Because to him, he is a businessman. And that is why, if Atiku turn 100, he will never run out of money contesting election, because the key asset of Nigeria, they were in the hands of his loyalists too, like Obasanjo, like many others. And that's what Tinubu is doing. Majority of the asset of Nigeria will end up in the hands of his own friends that will help hold on to power somehow. But Atiku lost. Somehow, some will say because of his miscalculation. So the idea of selling Nigerian refineries is not going to be new to Atiku. They killed the education in Nigeria and they built universities for themselves, private universities, right? But anyway, far away from the lamentation, Atiku believes that since the refineries have always been the conduit pipe for looting, why not sell them to those who can have them and possibly make them work and stop importation? So once you sell the refineries, and the people with money, use their money to refurbish the refineries, right? Then the government can stop importation by removing subsidy, by saying if you want to go and import, go and import. When APC, Egbe came to power in 2015, Bokwari, Nigeria was only importing 53% of its domestic use, its petroleum for domestic use, 53%. 47% of the needed petrol, including diesel, they were refined in Nigeria. so that this doesn't sound to you like it's ancient. This was just about 9 years ago. Nigeria refineries were working at least 50, between 47 and 50% capacity. And under APC, they just stopped working completely. And today, you now depend almost 100% on importation of petroleum products under this rogue. So to Atiku, that could be the solution. And what about Obi? Obi said, number one, he is going to launch probe into that subsidy thing to actually discover those behind it, expose them. After doing that, the Nigerians have now seen those behind the subsidy scam and all of that. Then it will begin. No, not after they have seen. That's not what he said, though. He said he will launch probe into the subsidy to discover those behind the scam. And at the same time, he was going to launch a sort of a temporary resuscitation of whichever of the refineries that could actually be resuscitated in a short while putting all of you on notice that the subsidy will be removed gradually. And gradually means, for example, once you tackle the corruption within the subsidy circle and those who are collecting it, and you are doing something about, genuinely now, doing something about these your refineries that have become conduit pipes, then you can begin to remove it by saying, okay, we are removing 20%, or we're removing 50%, or we are removing this or that. So that by the time you are going to remove the entire thing, there would have been replacements. A replacement that will not prompt you to want to pay subsidy to anybody anymore. And whatever money you are receiving from that removal can further be channeled into the expansion of those production line, so as to make sure that not only that you can produce or refine your own crude oil in Nigeria, that you can have enough surplus that you can sell out there. That's an idea. And you can never find out if he's going to do it or not. Because somebody said they would do it. Now they've turned around and said, oh, the reason why we couldn't do it is because we stole the idea. We ran with it, but it didn't work. So don't just blame us. Blame those people too, because even they themselves cannot do it. We tried their idea. So you stole somebody's idea, but you actually have no full knowledge of what you stole. It's like the monkeys that hijacked the car. The problem now is that they've hijacked the car. How to drive the car is the real problem. They wanted power. They have it. Now they have all the excuses. Before they have the power, they have all the solutions. Now they have it. Rather than now use their solutions, they now have all the excuses. If they are not blaming you for not supporting them, they are blaming some of you for not wishing Nigeria well. Others are being blamed for demarketing Nigeria, but themselves, no blame. That flashback again, if you don't mind.
As I stand before you, there are few of us left running. One says he is Atiku. How many times has he been running?
Always on the run.
He's always on the run, and he's tired. Tell him to go and sit down. Enough is enough. The other one, that one I think na statistic we go chop. A lie with arithmetic that no Indian can solve it. To mention his name is a disgrace to myself. I won't mention the name. Wrong arithmetic, wrong statistics, warehouse economy, and that's not what Nigeria needs.
Nuisance leleyi. Nuisance leleyi. Nuisance leleyi.
What does Nigeria need? It's been a year now. So if you now ask them, they will say, it is because you don't like Nigeria. Even if you don't like APC, even if you don't like Tinubu, Nigeria is still your country. Don't let us use a bad mouth to badmouth our country. Don't call your country name. I don't know why all of you find happiness in just talking negative about your country. Baba na gaslighting, don't ever fall for it. Oh no, please don't. Asking these criminals to be responsible or take responsibility is not hating Nigeria. Okay? Calling out these criminals whose actions are totally detrimental to the growth, development, the safety of every human that exists in that country. I don't hate Nigeria. No. Even though I hate the idea of Nigeria, hate is kind of like, no. But the real people that hate Nigeria are the people that have everything to make Nigeria better. But look at what they are doing. To now blackmail you. Why is it? I have even seen some mofo Africans, some of them from these other horrible countries led by some deplorable, dictators. Some of them, their president the president of their country have been in power before they gave birth to their mothers, to their parents. 40 years, 45 years. Father finished, son took over. So they will jump into it. Why are Nigerians always talking bad about their country? I've seen few of them. If you're one of them watching me, I don't know what your country is like, and I don't even know what you are subjected to. Do you understand? The idea of being enslaved, okay? And being enslaved without putting chains on you is still very much present and very powerful, and we all know that. And there are many of our people under that bondage. That makes the criminal politicians from every of those countries to feel so powerful. Mere men, mere mortals, ordinary men, but with power. They became extraordinary men who are doing horrible, extra horrible things. So they are not blessings to their people. They have ended up being curses. And calling them out. In whatever way we feel like, in whatever language we feel like, as an expression of a total disgust and displeasure for these rogues. does not make us people who hate the country per se. What a lot of people actually dislike is the idea. And a lot of us have been very, very expressive about it. There are more Africans who actually even know more too. You can't force nations that were supposed to be countries on their own. You can't force them together because it's just an idea. And the idea is not even ours. It's not our own idea. So this is the idea. The idea of Nigeria is the idea that gave birth, produced these criminals. It is an idea that is an aberration, an idea that is like a weapon fashioned against all of us. So I don't know if you understand what that feels like. And that is why we are very expressive. You know, I've seen Americans even more derogatory about America. That's your God owns country. Have you seen Americans who are pissed off with America and the leadership of America? Have you listened to them before? You just sit down there and be like, I see this one. Have you seen Americans who are pretty much like wanted to be citizens of another country? They don't want to be Americans anymore simply because of the way they believe America has turned to. Have you seen British? Have you seen Europeans who don't want to be Europeans anymore because they believe that Europe is not European anymore? Expressing your disgust, your disappointment in the people, irresponsible people who have decided to profit from the people's misery, which are man-made miseries anyway. We have people who pray for Nigeria. Do you know that? And these criminals in charge of Nigeria, they've made a lot of them pretty much like faithless people now. Imagine you who is so strong in faith. You know, Africans, like Nigerians, are very religious people. So politicians took advantage of that. So they asked them to pray while they loot, while they make policies that continue to impoverish their people. But they still ask them to pray. Now, it's now like God is not hearing them. Do you think God is not hearing them? You that is so faithful, you are so religious and all of that. Do you think God is not hearing your prayers about Nigeria? Would you be honest with yourself and say, it's not that God didn't hear your prayer, it's that he hears your prayer, but he's done with you. Because he's not going to do what you must do. You cannot be enabling criminalities and corruption. You cannot be sort of cherry-picking bad behaviors when it suits you. When it suits you, you will keep quiet. When it hurts you, you are the loudest. You can't be like that. And then expect God to go and fight your battle for you. It's not done. So if you want us to be praying for Nigeria, you must be mad. Because those who are praying for Nigeria, I hope they're asking God, why is God yet to answer them? They even have national prayer in Nigeria. How can you be praying for criminals to succeed? Succeed in what? So that is why people like us will continue to call them out. And turning it around and say, we don't love Nigeria or we hate Nigeria. It's because we don't like politicians. We hate our... No. You won't blackmail us with that way. You will not gaslight us. You should face the people because nothing you want to say, oh, you don't love Nigeria. Maybe you love Nigeria. Instead of us to pray for our leaders, maybe you they pray for them. What happened to your prayers? Your prayers, no, they work on them? Or they work in reverse? Prayers don't build roads. Prayers don't build schools and run them. Prayers don't build health care and run it. Prayers don't defend countries. Are you with me? Prayer are just something you can call motivation for what you are doing. Do you understand that? You cannot put the cart before the horse. and then blame everybody else that there is no movement, no motion. You can't do that. You must have an idea of holding the people who said they have the solution. You hold them responsible. You don't give excuses for them. Every day you dey fight for God. Now they fight for God. Now know who go fire. Now know who go heaven. Now have all this threat that they have used your religion to manipulate you. You allow them. You want God to be a magician. You want God to touch the heart of criminals that you intentionally give power to or support. God to touch their hearts so that they can pay your salaries. They can pay your pensions. They can stop stealing. Say God na magician. Can't you see the manipulation? Because that is the issue. These criminals have no real solution to the problems they intentionally created. Can't you see it? The system that continues to produce these rogues will make you faithless, godless. You will blaspheme against your God. It will be like say your God won't hear you. It's because you are too dumb to see how you are enabling bad behavior and then expecting it to turn to something good.